best friends.
It's Footy and Frothies. Daggy and Barney with you from the Grey Gums Hotel in Penrith to preview State of Origin Game 3, a preview show we've collectively done zero time for.
Yes,
zero preparation
with
for.
Zero
anyway,
research into this
so
one
watch how
tonight.
good we do this without it. But, you know, we're pretty fucking good at what we do. So, Barney, Origin 3, it's 2-0.
Yeah. Hating Origin once again for just about every year for the last, 15 years?
Just a bunch of stuff that happens. Got over it a while ago. We've got to talk about this. Do we get into it?
I don't know.
We've got no banners to talk
Just-
about here.
Yeah. I don't know how you've just given up on it. You just don't care.
Well, it just
doesn't matter. Queensland are going to win, and
Okay,
it's just going to
Barn,
happen.
you've watched me follow my football team.
I've got no
for
energy
20
left
years.
to invest.
What would you like me to do with the rest of this? Look, what would I do with the rest of this energy?
We've got to get you down off the roof every other week.
I can't, there's only so much I can take, honestly.
No, fair call.
What do you want me to do? I need to sleep.
I want to
at
see
some
you
point.
broken again. Fair call. No, you get a pass mark on that one.
Thanks.
Yeah, good.
So I just watch and enjoy some high quality rugby league. But anyway,
That generally it is. Even if obviously New South Wales continue to get beaten year after year, it generally is a good 50 or 60 minute period of some very good football that gets displayed in these matches. So that's probably what we're going to hopefully look forward to on Wednesday.
yeah, we just quickly want to plug rugbyleaguemerch.com. We can buy some of our hats, steins, and everything else going in there. And of course, leave us some feedback below on YouTube and subscribe on Spotify, iTunes, and everything else as well. We will be back Thursday night to do the proper preview of round 20.
Correct.
And talk about this game, but we may as well get straight into it. New South Wales, apparently ticket sales are going quite well at a core. New South Wales, Queensland at a core stadium, 8:05 Wednesday night. For Queensland, because they're very quick, Flegler and Walsh are out. AJ Brimson, Origin winning fullback, comes back in. Jermaine Hopgood is the 19th man. Tom Dearden's 18th man. And Corey Horsburgh makes his debut off the bench, well deserved, at 17.
Nothing we didn't expect.
No, absolutely not.
Everything we thought they'd do, they did exactly that.
Which I'll get to in a sec. For New South Wales, Bradman Best makes his debut in the centres. We have Cody Walker coming back in at 6. Jake Travojevic is back in at 8. Reed and Campbell-Gillard is back in at 10. Damien Cook starts after spending the last Origin in the centres. Liam Martin and Colin Matungi, who's also making his debut, is a starting back row. Cam Murray. Yo goes to the bench. Jacob Saifides dragged back from obscurity to come off the bench. Reece Robson, after playing 80 minutes, is on the bench. And Gutho is the 17. Scott Drinkwater has had an Origin camp under his belt, as has Spencer Leniu. Look, we know Queensland's game plan. We've seen it. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a better game. Well, there's more aggressive game plan in this game. So they've stuck with what they know. The biggest advertisement, and we've said it in both our review shows to date, that we don't quite know what Freddy's game plan is. Surely 9 changes is the biggest advertisement of not actually having a game plan. Because
Absolutely.
if your job is to coach a team, you'd know what you want that team to do.
Yeah, win would be the first
Well,
thing.
yeah, score more points than
I'm
them.
pretty sure that's all that he thinks about. I've seen the theory floated out there in the wonderful world of social media that Brad Fittler does not actually watch any football apart from the week before Origin and just goes, he had a good game, let's pick him.
And he defends this, and Brandy obviously does watch footy, and Brandy gets
Yes.
quite angry when you say this.
Absolutely does.
But it seems like it's the case.
looking at the changes that he's made here, obviously Drinkwater deserves a spot, as does Gutherson. They've been fantastic for the majority of the year, been consistent. Blokes like Bradman Best has played 3-4 good weeks of footy. Like, I know he's been earmarked.
And a very good 4 week. No knock on Bradman Best.
Absolutely. I know he's been earmarked as a New South Wales player for a long time, but I think there's better options out there than Bradman Best coming into this side. he's there now. We will yet to see what happens. Hopefully he fires up and lives up to his talk about wanting to punch people in the head. I don't want to see him go out there and punch people in the head, but hopefully he's aggressive and he starts running over some outside backs for Queensland and really putting the pressure on and has a fantastic game. But he was a questionable one around the hooker. We've said it again. Like the time you've got an 80-minute hooker, you don't need Reece Robson on the bench. No. You didn't need Cook on the bench in the last game. You
and obviously
a utility player, which
Appy
now they've got two of them.
And Appy's the one that was injured.
And that was when that was probably when it was best
so
suited.
You can put your foot back there, Mark.
That was probably when it was best suited to play two hookers, and he didn't do it. That's when, because Appy really does probably need a rest at that high intensity sort of thing, and he would have been the guy to come in 20 minutes into the game after somebody absorbs their rough and tumble in the first 20 minutes of the game.
The closest New South Wales, and Freddie's spent 3 years trying to. The closest New South Wales had to Harry Grant off the bench was Appy off the bench.
Yes, absolutely.
And that never happened.
100%. For mine, I'd be having probably Drinkwater in front of Gutherson. I just think he offers a little bit more in attack, especially in the ball playing side of things, and he can create points a little bit more than Gutherson. Even though Gutherson, you know exactly what you're going to get out of him. He's going to be there for support every time. He's going to bust his ass and do the little things right, especially with his positioning on the field. But for mine, Drinkwater would be coming in, and I'd be getting rid of Robson and bringing Spencer Leniu into this side. That just, for me, balances out that bench a whole lot better than what it currently sits at the moment. But
I guess we'll go top down for old time's sake, really. The fullbacks today. Captain James Tedesco against AJ Brimson. I suspect this is probably Teddy's swan song for Origin, which is now 32. A fantastic serve in the game, in the conversation for best fullback in the NRL era. Probably runs a Cordell of Billy Slater, I would suggest. I'm sure someone's going to turn around and go, well, Darren Lockyer played here or that. But anyway, I think over long term, a representative level and club level, it's hard to knock his resume. And AJ Brimson, speed, spark, great support, as good a middle support fullback as the game's got.
Footwork probably a little bit better in the ball distribution than what we've seen out of Teddy recently. Even though he was one of the better ones probably 4 or 5 years ago, that's been one facet of his game that's dropped off a fair bit here. So for mine, it's probably a tick to AJ Brimson, and the changes that they've made for mine looks like they're going to play a much more structured running game through the likes of Munster and AJ Brimson chiming in at times, and I think you're going to see a lot of fast running, flowing football out of this Queensland team.
Yeah, I think you've nailed it there. I like AJ. He's had a couple of years of injury. I like what he's brought back to the table this year. And
well, every time he's come back, there's 2 or 3 injuries this year, and every time he's come back, he's looked like he hasn't missed a game. So
his clean-up work's actually been better than Teddy this year. And as I've said, to me, Teddy's now got the shades of Ricky Ponting in his last couple of years of Test cricket. He's just not quite as quick, not quite as sharp, and there's others quicker and sharper.
Yeah. Last hurrah, it'd be brilliant to see him come and do what he does best and score a couple of supporting tries and maybe set one up. But is it likely? I don't think so.
Who's your go-to fullback next year?
It'd be Latrell fit. I think
it's time to build a team around Latrell. But to
fullback,
new coach, I think it's time to just roll the dice on Latrell and say you're the, if you're the, and he obviously was Freddie's ace in the hole.
But obviously, we'd yet to see what the first 10 rounds of next season brings. But
we got to see.
I would assume Latrell would go to fullback next year.
Yeah, unless like Pappenhausen resumes as.
Unless Teddy continues to play on, and then they'll probably keep picking him.
I don't. We'll see. Wingers, Tuo and Adokar against Tuolangi and Coates. We've seen. I don't think Adokar has had a great Origin series.
He hasn't had fuck all ball either, which doesn't help. But
and Tuo gets through his usual mountain of work. No winger gets
heaps
through more.
Work. Brilliant player.
Tuolangi and Coates both an aerial threat, so we know bombs are coming. We know they're going to be kicking potentially early, kicking high, and trying to target both of them.
Tuolangi has produced some of the best defensive efforts out of a winger I've seen in the first 2 games for Origin
probably,
as well.
If you look at it, probably won Queensland a game with his 2 defensive efforts in that game. Strong tackle breaker, great scramble.
Fast, physical. Yeah.
Coates hadn't had a great season to Origin, but hey, he's a Queenslander. He pulls the jersey on and was
Last
good.
month's been very good, yeah.
How are you lining these lot up?
It all depends on what happens on the inside of both of these, obviously. For mine, there's a bit more strike out of this Queensland side. We've seen it in the first 2 games. Toto's not going to let anyone down. He's going to do a mountain of work, especially bringing the ball back off his own line. Addo is very dependent on whether he gets the ball. Wouldn't be surprised if Walker does start to angle out that way, and I think he will see more ball than he's seen in the previous 2 games. Hopefully that means a try or 2 for him out there, but I think he'll get more opportunity in this game, but I think Queensland's probably still just a touch in front.
Cody Walker and Cam Munster. A month ago, the hot halves of the comp. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they are anymore. But they're here. And Cody Walker, there's no better, tremendous clash. Cam Munster's a freak, an absolute freak. Only needs to touch the ball 4 or 5 times in a game to put on 12 points. Whether it's line breaks, whether it's tries, whether it's a try assist, whether it's a crossfield bomb, whether it's just something he pulls out his ass on the spur of a moment. Cody Walker, the best 5'8" in the game with time and space, and going into a line to make his outside backs have more time and space, which
most try assists, I'm pretty sure. I
skipped the centres, didn't I? Anyway, we'll get back to that.
Yes, you did just jump past the centres.
But a tremendous clash, Barn. That said, it's still, the Australian 5'8" probably still gets the points decision here.
I would think so. Munster just allows Queensland to play a little more direct. He's probably a fraction more physical than Walker when carrying the ball. Really enjoys straightening the attack up and drawing players in and actually taking that physical whack before. Like, he's not scared of taking that whack. Where for mine, Walker's a little bit more sideways than what Munster is. It does provide a lot of opportunities for his outside backs, but it also provides opportunity for the opponents to slide a little bit if they see him start sort of crabbing sideways or, angling towards an edge rather than straightening the attack up. So points decision to Munster, but I do think Walker will provide more attacking opportunities and probably New South Wales provided in the entire two games.
We're comparing Cody Walker to Jerome Luai, who is right foot step, hospital pass, right foot step, inside ball. Walker's going to drag the line in.
Yeah. He's happy to play at the line.
Try and throw full line or just before it.
And he does look to promote his outside men a hell of a lot more than Luai does.
Whereas
Luai's always looking for the short pass and the
Walker's whole game is
gaps.
Clean early ball to great outside backs.
Yeah.
Luai is looking for his big mate on his
either shoulder.
To help him out. Yeah. And I think that's a tick for what New South Wales have done, and the argument can make that he probably should have been in the whole time.
Yep.
Back to the centres. Bradman Best making his Origin debut, and Stephen Crichton, who's been one of New South Wales' best players, in all fairness, this Origin series.
He has, yeah.
Against Val Holmes and Hamaso Tabai Fido, who have been absolutely fantastic and brilliant all series. A great matchup. How are you lining them up?
If you're going to average it out, New South Wales probably have an edge physically, just through the physicality and defence and running direct lines. But I think Queensland have a fraction more X factor and skill in footwork and pace, and being able to beat their opposition one-on-one through their footwork and pace. Whereas the New South Wales centres are going to rely a bit more on physicality and sort of being physically dominant against their opposition and running
Hammer's
on or
matched
through
up to that physicality tremendously this series.
He has. He's been brilliant.
I thought he was the gap in the wall, and he's been good.
Yep. And both of them, if you give them half an opportunity, they're gone and around you, and good luck catching them. So
the concern I have is that Bradman Best, to me, of all the players,
he's got an error in him.
He has an error. He's going to bust tackles. He's going to try very hard, but he's going to get stood up. He's going to get turned around.
And you don't see him promote his winger that often.
And he's going to have Val run at him with footwork and pace and being able to light him up. And I'm concerned he can match that. I genuinely am. I think it's a very genuine concern for New South Wales, and I hope they know that, because they've picked basically a whole forward pack around him. So they're investing in him. And we've seen people get Origin level and step up, but I can see points coming through that corridor, and it makes me very nervous. We know Val, at his absolute best, is the best centre in the game.
Yep.
Can tear teams apart, can make him look stupid and slow.
And Hammer's starting to put himself as a massive X factor
Yeah.
and can do exactly the same thing, make people look stupid and slow.
Exactly, and I just think it screams out to me that is a concern on that edge.
Yeah.
The halves, we know we get Mitchell Moses and Captain Daly Cherry Evans, the two best kicking halves in the game this season. They've both been pretty much phenomenal for their club in losing and winning efforts this year. And DCE's effort in defence to run, to pull off, to have his Scott Sattler moment in the last Origin. He's playing career against footy. The footy he played last week was as good as anyone. He's a premier halfback in the competition right now for me. He's sensational. Mitch Moses finds himself in a brand new spine. One of the in the conversation for quickest half in the comp with probably Luke Brooks, and fantastic kicking game. Has in the last 2 years, to me, has got rid of the flat track bully tag, and I think he is rightfully having a crack here. What do you think?
Very close matchup. Probably give the attacking flair tick towards Moses. Probably a little bit more creative as a ball player and a runner than what Cherry Evans is. But obviously the mentality side of things and the way that the opportunities that DCE sees, especially through his kicking game, to be able to turn the New South Wales around, which he's done year after year recently, and then provide a platform for his forwards to really grind and work and make New South Wales work so hard to get off their own line. There's probably a mentality tick to the Queensland side. Probably overall, Moses just a fraction in front of DCE in what he can provide in the way of points, but as a whole, DCE probably wins the game management side of things. So.
Queensland have the only game manager on the field.
Pretty much, yeah.
So simple as that.
Moses
Queensland,
tries.
Moses does a good job, and it's a very, very, very good first grade half.
Yeah.
As I said, probably I would have him probably the second best half.
Well,
in
Ben
the
Hunt's out there as well.
And there are other points. So you're going in with a spine of Tedesco, Cody Walker, who we know has got the left foot short kick, doesn't have a bomb, doesn't have a long kicking game.
Mm-hmm.
Moses has a long kicking game. Moses is going to be the one putting the ball in the air.
Yeah.
And his kicking was actually very, very good in Origin in 2.
Was.
And Damien Cook, who doesn't kick. Against Harry Grant, who kicks. Ben Hunt, who is in the top 5 halfbacks in the comp. DCE and Munster.
Who probably has the worst kicking game out of the 3 of them, but is still pretty good.
Exactly right. So they've got us covered. They've got New South Wales covered from all angles just there. Again, Queensland in front. We'll move on. I firmly believe, if the Australian team is picked tomorrow, DCE should be halfback and captain. But anyway, the props. So the other thing, and this other thing about having Cody Walker in halves, is that New South Wales have got a smaller forward pack now, and Queensland have gone bigger. Queensland brought Horsburgh in for a team that was able to dominate. They've kept Mo, and they're starting with their walkers. They're just going, we're going to just outwork you blokes, and then have some blokes bash you when we need you a bit later.
Yep.
And they're apparently starting Harry. We'll see how that goes. Freddy's gone to his safety blanket, Jake, which I wouldn't blame him. He'd be my safety blanket too.
Absolutely.
RCG comes in, who will get through a mountain of work. Probably plays all 3 games if he didn't get his groin popped out earlier on. Starting Liam Martin, which is a tick.
Would have been interesting if they would have picked him if he was fit. Just with,
I think
the fact that Cleary and Luai is not there probably was a big part of the reason he got picked for this one. But.
And Colin Matangi gets his debut. Back to the props. Jake and Cotter against RCG and Tino. Lindsay Collins, who has been man of the series so far, and Mo Fodawaker on the bench. They've gone with 4 props. The 4 best props in, Collins, but Collins is a different level of Origin.
Has
Mo's
been.
been the form prop of the competition outside of Payne Haas, who we're
Ball
missing.
in hand, yeah, absolutely.
And Tino
Can be
is in the is
mate.
his main competition. If you're ranking a top 5 props in the game, it's probably Haas. If you said Haas, Fanua Blake, Tino, Mo, that's
Well, Tino at his
not
best
many
can
missing
absolutely
in
destroy a
RCG.
forward pack
Yeah,
on his own.
yeah.
Close enough
So
too.
so they have more weapons now than they started the series with.
His offload, his size, his destructive running, and his defence has even tightened up more than what it was last year.
And Freddie's gone and found Jacob's high feedy to help, which is lovely. Which is, and again, in terms of plans, I don't know what Borlo did wrong.
No.
They picked Stefano because how cute is it to pick Stefano? They gave him 12 minutes and brushed him. So what does that do for a 20-year-old prop? Don't know. Who
Doesn't
had
make
some
any
size.
sense.
So we're going back to our safety blanket workhorses. Who's getting the points here?
Well, Jacob wouldn't be in my team. I would have kept Borlo, as you mentioned. Him and RCG as a tag team with the bench
Put him back on the
interchange.
bench. Just put
yeah,
one of them
absolutely.
back. Put Borlo back on the bench.
Yeah, and he probably has even more impact if they get the timing right.
I would be
and there's
shocked
a couple of
if
forward.
Borlo didn't have a bigger
tired
game off a
forwards out
bench
there.
than Jacob Saifidi was ever capable of.
Yeah. Jake Trbojevic is a big one. It does stiffen up the defence in the middle of the ruck, which hopefully can limit the opportunities of the likes of Grant and Hunt and some of this Cotter in and around the middle of the field. But the point it has to go to Queensland, as you mentioned. Mo, Tino.
Points. It's a 10-8. Yeah.
Not quite a knockout, but yeah, Tino, Mo, running down through the middle of the field there is just a scary thing to think about. And if Jake's the only one Cookie's going to match him with 40 or 50 tackles, but there's still going to be some leftover work for some other blokes to do in the middle of the field because you need 2 and 3 blokes to bring down the likes of Tino and Mo. So.
Yeah. Because the offload's going to Fafita straight off that.
I would imagine Regan Campbell-Gillard's in for a big game. He does do plenty of good stuff, especially ball in hand, which is probably the biggest part of his game, and will probably be one of New South Wales' better forwards, especially in attack. But it's got a lot of work to match the rotation that Queensland's going to send out at him.
Let's go straight to the hooker. So Cook's on paper, Cook and Grant are starting.
Yep.
Robson and
Hunt.
Ben Hunt on the bench. Any combination of those 4 could start. Obviously, probably not Hunt and Grant, but the other 2 could start. I wouldn't be shocked if Hunt does start. I wouldn't be shocked if Robson does start. Ducks and Drakes, I think, with this combination. That said, this 2 hooker combo, as we've already touched on, we've spent a bit of time on it, doesn't necessarily do it for me.
No.
Especially down the road, Harry Grant's going to be an 80-minute and 90-minute hooker. He already is, but at Origin level, we've seen it at international level, he's an 80-minute hooker, as is Cook. Harry Grant hasn't had the greatest season. He hasn't had his
No, he hasn't.
A-grade season, but has still not been bad by any means. And we know he gives every bit of creativity. He's the best user of open ruck space in the game. If he sees it, he goes, and then everyone else goes with him. Ben Hunt, he'll just get through a mountain of defensive work. Is
Kick him out
capable
of trouble.
kick out and out of. As we said earlier, he's capable of kicking them as good as DC is out of trouble.
Can play as a second halfback if they need him.
Cook and
to.
Robson, who are just going to do the same job and could
Whole
both make
heap of-
53 tackles.
Whole heap
but
of tackles,
what,
and
they both make 27
occasionally
and a half
have a
each, or what?
scoot
It's
here and there.
Yeah.
Decent passing off the ground, but creativity, they're miles behind the Queensland hooker rotation here.
I think they're missing a trick. And I agree with you. I'd be playing Lenu off the bench before I'd play a second hooker. Back row, Liam Martin starting as we've called for all series.
Should have happened from the first
Colin
game.
Matungi, who's now fit and in here, fair enough.
Yeah, fair call. I like it.
Fafita, who's the form forward of the game, and Jeremiah Nano, who's brought physicality to his game this year and come back a bigger boy. He's throwing people
Slow
around.
start to the year, but since he's come back
been
from his
ultra
injury.
impressive. I guess that the Cowboys finding their mates, some of their partners in crime that have been missing it has helped, but a great clash.
Very good jumper as well. Jumps like a centre over the top for that high ball that gets put on a on a half or a centre's head. Don't be surprised if you see a try out of him jumping over the top of somebody and grabbing the ball and coming down for points. Martin and Kulamatangi, fantastic ball in hand, has a few issues in his defensive game as well, which could be exposed here, especially by some of the smaller likes of Harry Grant and AJ Brimson sniffing in and around an edge. They could open him up, but thoroughly deserves his spot. It's been, when at his best, is very close to the top 5 back rowers in the game, so probably deserves a spot here. Liam Martin, you know exactly what you're going to get, like just controlled, continued aggression. The way he chops blokes in half is amazing. Get him defending next to Jake Trebojevic, and you're probably not going to have a lot of people running down that corridor for the big part of this game. But yeah, it's just Queensland, just green ticks all across the board, realistically, for mine.
The lock, Murray and Carrigan starting now.
This is probably the closest matchup of them all.
And Yo's on the bench. I scratch my head at that because if Yo's not playing 80 minutes and being Yo, what is their plan?
Well, he needs to play at least 60.
So you're going to one of these blokes is going to end up on an edge for an hour, for probably an hour, and I think Yo's better suited to the middle.
I think you'll see Kulamatangi coming into the middle after about 20 minutes of the game.
I think Jake plays 80 and they rotate around that.
Yeah, I still wouldn't be surprised if you see Kulamatangi come in off an edge, or even Martin. I see one of the back rowers moving in to the middle of the field.
They have to.
And then Murray probably takes up the edge spot and Yo goes back into the third.
Which is all fine and cute when you've got a forward pack, but you're now up against, as we said, 4 props who are going to just bust the door down.
New South Wales probably have the edge here, I think, just because they have a rotation. And there's a little bit more creativity than what you're going to get out of Carrigan. But Carrigan is going to continue to kick the front door down, work with his other fellas, and just continued pressure through the middle of the field. But
Patrick Aaron is the best lock forward in the game. I have said it all year, and I will say it again. I fell in love with him at Magic Round last year, and my love remains to this day.
Continues to grow, you might even say.
It does. It flourishes. His ball playing is up there with, Torhu. Actually, Torhu's now making a charge for my love. I do love Torhu. Anyway, but he's got such crisp ball movement when he has to be that middle forward. Gets through a mountain of work. He'll do 180 metres without fail here. And I only that it's 2 versus 1, I accept a draw.
Rightio.
And what's left on the bench? So Saifidi left as a reserve prop. We've talked about everyone else. Horsburgh coming in is going to be off his head.
He'll probably only get 25 minutes, but
when he comes on, they will know he'll be taking 3 or 4. I've actively watched him take 3 and 4 blokes with him through the middle of the field and run 15 metres. He'll be doing it here because there's not the size to chop him down.
Reminds me of that dude off of, what's that DreamWorks? Soul. The anger dude, where the head just fucking explodes and catches on fire. He's fucking charging through the middle of the field.
Tell me you got a 5-year-old. Tell me you got a 5-year-old. So, and Gutho 17, and I love Gutho. I love all his foibles and everything else that he. I understand why people hate him, but I have nothing but respect for the amount of work he does for Parramatta. And
I think they really need to bring Lenu in to even up that battle with Horsburgh, to be honest.
I would.
And just play him in exact same minutes.
But why wouldn't you?
The minute Horsburgh goes on, send Lenu out and go, he's fucking yours.
But why wouldn't you do that instead of Saifidi?
That's your only battle for this game.
You can do that with Saifidi.
Is to go and belt that motherfucker every time he touches the ball.
Like swap him for Saifidi and do it, and just go and.
Or Robson.
Because New South Wales do not have that one that's just going to come off the back fence, eyes rolling when it's 12-6, and he's just going to go, all right, if someone stops me, that's fine, but you aren't.
Run straight at Horsburgh, run straight at Tino, work them over. Every time they touch the ball, belt them as hard as you can. Doesn't make sense.
I hope we get the switch, but we'll see what happens. There's so much ducks and drakes in this game, as I said. I think someone's going to pull a Swifty. But
I think we're going to see a lot of points in this match. I think you're going to end up seeing something the likes of 30 points to 20. New South Wales are much more set up to score points with the injection of Walker, Kulamatangi, Murray playing through the middle, and then For mine, it just looks like New South Wales plan on wearing Queensland out with 20 minutes to go, which hasn't happened in fucking 20 years. So good luck with that. But I do think there will be some points early. If Drinkwater comes in, I'm even more inclined to think that New South Wales score 20 plus points, but I still think Queensland score more. I think they're just going to really rely on the running game when they're down in New South Wales areas, testing the likes of Moses and testing the both halves and both back rowers on those edges and running at those guys and then trying to create opportunities off the back of it. So I've gone with Queensland 1-12. I think Munster will be man of the match in this game. I think he's going to have one of those games where he just starts playing with New South Wales by the back end of the game, taking every opportunity to run, which could end up with a try and a couple of try assists. And then I'm going to go with Coates, first try scorer for the Queensland side.
I think there's too many bullseyes on the some of the New South Wales picks. I know I can understand trying to pick a small forward pack, or in Queensland gone bigger and already have the workers there already in the Cotters of the world. They're not going to crack them. You've also got three alpha males in that spine: Teddy, Moses, and Walker. I don't think I could come up with a more eclectic mix if I tried to have a week together and try and come up with a plan. I can't see it happening. I'm going to go Queensland 13+. Mm-hmm. I think they get bossed. I think early points come early. They stand best up. Val Holmes scores first, and then they score early and they score often. And I'm going to go 13+, man of the match. I'm actually going to give it to Harry Grant. I think by the time that busts open, he'll just be running amok. He'll just have a field day. And man of the series probably is going to be Carrigan or Collins again, because it'd be one of those forwards, Collins, Cotter or Carrigan, because they've been sensational.
Cotter's probably in the box seat.
I think, or either or.
He's been, pretty sure he's been in the points both times.
And I think it's just full clean out next year, New South Wales. Full clean out. They go and try and find someone to name captain and build backwards.
Well, Cleary's going to come straight back in if fit. And then, the trail at 1 and then do your best around that, I guess. But.
I have individually not really an issue with anyone being in a team. It's just I don't think this is the right mix.
Yeah.
But I also don't think there is a right mix yet.
Not at the moment. Struggling in the middle of the field, which is unusual to say about New South Wales.
Well, and this thing about the great New South Wales teams have had the great back rowers. Like it's Hindmarsh, Fletcher and Hindy, your Crockers, your
Fittler, Ricketson.
Your Ricketsons, and these, yes, they can put a tackle on, but they're not going to get through that mountain of work that the great teams got through in that big era.
And then you had your big angry motherfuckers up front too, but you had your Willie Mason,
O'Mealy. You could rattle
Danny
them off.
Badiris making 50 tackles and setting up tries.
You'd have Menzies and Hindmarsh. You'd have those sort of blokes doing all that work through the middle. Even a Jackson, like those sort of guys.
A utility that could fucking Craig Wing coming on, playing hooker, playing half, playing centre, playing fucking fullback.
Greg Bird, and
your mongrels, your Birds and Gallons.
Yeah, I just don't. There's work to be done to get them back to that, and there's a lot of great kids coming through. This time.
How many New South Wales mongrels are out there apart from Liam Martin? There's probably none.
I'd have I'll call Guthrie one, but he's not
full physical.
He's not the stereotypical.
Whereas you used to have O'Mealy, Mason, throw in, Fletcher had a bit of grub in him. Fucking Hindmarsh had a bit of grub in him.
You have Lazo and Harrigan start and Spart, and I know we live in glory times here, but and in the same token, Queensland had Sivan Seaver and Webke.
But they've still got it.
They've still got it, and I think there's
Tino will rip your head off. Fucking Chuck Cotter in there. You got Mo in there, who's more than happy to stomp all over you as he runs past you.
I need to sit and think about who New South Wales have because it won't be obvious. There'll be someone there, and I'll find him, but I can't think of it right now. But there's no Michael Crocker in this team.
They don't have the fire. Queensland have that fire and aggression through the middle of the field.
And Murray and Yo, and anyone listening to this show, Murray and Yo are two
we love them.
players.
They work their ass off.
But,
they do so much good stuff.
They're
not snapping blokes in half.
It might have been Victor Adley at one stage, but he's a level below. He's not their level. I'll come up with one for next
You got
show.
Jai Arrow waiting in the wings for Queensland to come in. Like, it's just.
Yeah. That's what Origin is. Anyway, it's a beautiful thing. We're going to enjoy it. We're going to watch it. And we're going to review it on Thursday night. And we're going to also preview round 20. Thanks for listening. Subscribe if you've watched us on YouTube for the first time. And give us some feedback. Tell us what we got wrong. Obviously, you can find us on SoundCloud, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, iTunes, everywhere good podcasts are found. And we'll talk soon. And we'll do it all again in a review show this time next Monday/Tuesday night. See you, mate.
See you, mate. When the camera die.